Breaking news! What if I told you that a player the Dolphins traded a future third-round pick for last year might already be on his way out of Miami? That's right. One of the hottest young names in the Dolphins' backfield is now on the bench, while a rookie is stealing the spotlight and possibly even his job. There's real movement happening behind the scenes, and let me tell you, it could lead to a mid-season trade that no one saw coming, or maybe some of us did. Before I reveal the full story and all the details, be sure to like this, but only if you're a true Dolphins fan who wants to see this team in the Super Bowl. And if you've been bleeding teal and orange through all the ups and downs, comment below. Go, Dolphins! We deserve more than front office politics. Now buckle up, because this is one of those stories that could determine how serious the Dolphins really are about winning this year. Now, to the story. Jaylen Wright, the speedy former Tennessee standout who Miami once saw as a key piece of the future, is in serious danger of becoming irrelevant on this roster. That might sound harsh, but the numbers and situations don't lie. After missing the first 2 games of the season with a lower body injury, Wright returned in Week 3 against the Buffalo Bills. But despite being active, he didn't even see the field. Meanwhile, Ollie Gordon, who wasn't even the headline when drafted, has completely taken over that RB2 spot behind Devin Achane. And look, this isn't just about Wright being injured. Even in the preseason, he looked completely out of sync. He couldn't hit the holes, couldn't move the chains, and barely managed 1.5 yards per carry. Let me repeat that, 13 carries for 19 yards in the preseason. He did find the end zone once, but even that came with a costly fumble in the red zone. These aren't the kind of mistakes you can afford when you're fighting for a role in a crowded backfield. Meanwhile, Ollie Gordon was running behind the same second and third string offensive lines and looked like a completely different player. He flashed serious burst and instincts, looking poised and explosive. Against the Bills in Week 3, he logged only 15 snaps but made every single one count, 9 carries for 4.2 yards per attempt, a touchdown on the opening drive, and multiple successful conversions on short yardage situations. He even forced 4 missed tackles on just 9 touches. For a young running back trying to carve out a role, that kind of performance turns heads. It wasn't just the eye test either. Pro Football Focus graded him as the 5th best RB that week based on his limited but effective workload. So the question becomes, what do the Dolphins do with Jaylen Wright? Keeping him buried on the depth chart as RB3 isn't just a waste of a roster spot, it's a missed opportunity. The Dolphins could easily promote Jeff Wilson Jr. from the practice squad, who's already familiar with McDaniel's system and has used up just 2 of his 3 allowed elevations this season. That would free up a spot to potentially trade Wright before his value drops any further. And don't get it twisted, Jaylen Wright still has value around the league. He was a 4th-round pick in 2024, but the Dolphins actually traded a 2025 third-rounder just to move up and grab him. They believed in his speed, his potential as a pass protector, and his physical tools. That 4.4 speed doesn't just disappear overnight. Scouts and GMs across the NFL remember that, and several teams could be very interested in giving him a second chance. In fact, Matt Miller, NFL draft analyst for ESPN, suggested just before Week 3 that the Kansas City Chiefs could be a strong landing spot for Wright. The Chiefs have talent in the backfield, but no true long-term option. Pacheco is solid, but not a superstar, and Kareem Hunt hasn't been the same since returning. Add Wright's explosiveness to Andy Reid's system, and that might just click. But the Chiefs aren't alone. The Arizona Cardinals could make a play for him, especially after the devastating injury to James Conner. Trey Benson is stepping up as the lead back, but they could use someone like Wright to share the load. The Minnesota Vikings are another possible destination. Aaron Jones is aging and injured, and they need depth behind Jaleel McLaughlin. The Dallas Cowboys? They might have Jaden Blue and Javonte Williams, but they lack that lightning strike in the backfield. And don't overlook the Houston Texans, where Joe Mixon is still on the PUP list, and their RB room is a huge question mark. If Miami plays their cards right, they could recoup a 5th or 6th round pick. It won't equal what they gave up, but it's a decent return for someone who simply doesn't have a future in this system anymore. Greer botched this one. Plain and simple. He overpaid to draft a guy who hasn't developed and now risks losing him for nothing. This is exactly the type of mismanagement that drives Dolphins fans insane. The writing is on the wall. Ollie Gordon is rising fast. Achane is a versatile threat both as a runner and a receiver, and Jaylen Wright is just lost in the shuffle. Keeping him as a glorified spectator doesn't help anyone, not the team and certainly not the player. If another team offers even a 6th rounder, Miami has to take it. And honestly, it would be one of the smarter decisions this front office has made in recent memory. Maybe even an opportunity to redeem themselves just a bit after the failed investment in Wright. And let's not sugarcoat it, this isn't just about a depth chart decision. This is about how serious the Dolphins are about making a Super Bowl run and whether they have the courage to make smart, calculated choices over emotional or reputation-based ones. If Greer wants to keep justifying that ill-advised 2025 third-round trade to move up for Jaylen Wright, then he's doing it at the cost of the team's roster flexibility. But the reality is, if you're trying to build a contender, you don't waste roster spots on guys who aren't producing. And Jaylen Wright, despite all his athletic traits and initial hype, just hasn't delivered. Let's go back to the cold, hard numbers. Wright was supposed to be a versatile, explosive weapon. Instead, his preseason was a disaster. 13 carries, 19 yards, a red zone fumble, those are numbers that get you cut, not promoted. And yes, he was running behind backup offensive linemen, but so was Ollie Gordon. The same environment, the same playbook, the same level of competition. Gordon thrived while Wright sputtered. There's no hiding from that, and this is what separates contenders from pretenders. The Jaguars faced the same dilemma earlier this season with Tank Bigsby. He wasn't clicking with the new system. They had two guys ahead of him they liked. So what did they do? They moved him, got something back before his value totally collapsed. Miami needs to do the same. Jaylen Wright still has potential. He's not a bust yet, but he's trending in that direction unless someone else gives him a fresh start. And let's address the pushback some fans might have. But we traded a future third for this guy. Yes, and that was a terrible move. It was impulsive, it was desperate, and now it's biting us. But holding on to Wright just to avoid admitting the mistake is only going to make it worse. The smart teams in this league cut bait, admit the miss, and move forward with what's working. Right now, what's working is Devin Achane and Ollie Gordon. You want a third running back for depth? Jeff Wilson is right there. He's dependable, experienced, and already understands this offense. He's not a long-term solution, but he's the perfect RB3 for the stretch run, cheap, available, and doesn't need reps to get acclimated. You elevate Wilson permanently, and you immediately improve your roster from a production standpoint without skipping a beat. And here's the part Greer doesn't want to hear. If the Dolphins wait too long, they'll lose leverage. Other teams will know Wright's not part of the game plan. His value will plummet. You trade him now, before week 8, while there's still a belief out there that a team can unlock his potential. If you wait until the offseason, he becomes just another guy buried on the bench who never found his place. And let's be honest, the Dolphins' window is now. Not next year, not in 2026. The window is today. Every move, every roster spot, every snap counts. The other factor here is locker room dynamics. Ollie Gordon has earned more touches. Period. You can't keep giving a guy like Wright chances just because he was once seen as a steal. That kind of favoritism can breed frustration, especially when young players are clearly outperforming their competition. McDaniel is known for building a culture of meritocracy. Play well, and you'll see the field. If that's true, then Jaylen Wright should be on the block right now. And yes, I know some fans are emotionally invested in Wright. He was supposed to be the next great home run hitter out of the backfield. But this league doesn't wait for anyone. This isn't college. This isn't about promise. It's about production. If Miami's going to be a serious contender, every single move has to support that mission. Keeping Jaylen Wright around just for the sake of ego or sentimentality is the kind of move that loses you games in December. We've been through this cycle before, haven't we? A talented player shows flashes, gets hyped up, the front office overspends to bring him in, and then when things don't go as planned, they hang on too long. This time, the Dolphins have a chance to break that cycle. Move right now, while he still holds some value, and reinforce the parts of the team that are actually contributing. Think of what you could do with an extra 5th or 6th round pick. Another lineman? A developmental corner? A future special teams ace? Those are the types of players that fill out a championship caliber roster. You don't get there by hoarding underperforming depth. Ollie Gordon's emergence has created clarity. Devin Achane's versatility is electric. The Dolphins don't need